Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just Kira Davis. I'm Just Kira Davis. I am just talking about the things that I think can save America. And today is Super Bowl Monday. It's Super Bowl Monday, so I decided to. Well, first of all, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. A shout out to Newsmax today. I missed my Newsmax hit this morning because I thought it was I didn't transpose, but I made a mistake. I thought it was 45, not 1-5. So I logged in at the 45 and I was really supposed to be there at the 1-5. So my apologies to Kelly Sadler and the Newsmax show, but I will be back next week. It happens on occasion. There is one time I can remember I did this. This is mortifying when it happens, but I did this maybe 10 years ago. I got a speaking gig and I didn't put it on the calendar properly and forgot about it. And they called me, as the gig was starting and they were like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not doing," and I wasn't doing anything. That was the worst part. I wasn't really doing anything. I had just forgotten and it was too far away for me to get in my car and race to. So I hate it when that happens. It's very embarrassing and shameful. My apologies to Newsmax. And I will see you next week. I think I'm streaming to Facebook for the first time. I'm a one-woman show here. I don't have a production team right now. I don't even really do this show formally. I just kind of do it when I want to talk about stuff. So I'm never really sure where things are going. But I did hit the Facebook button. And I think it's going to be interesting for Facebook people. They don't usually see me talking, and my friends and family don't usually see me talking. A lot of my friends and family don't know what I do, and they don't really like what I do. Or not my my liberal friends. And they don't like what I do. They don't really celebrate it. They don't really congratulate me on any of the amazing things I'm doing. They don't really care about it. So I normally don't share what I do with them. But lately I've just been thinking, well, why not? I have a Facebook page and it's another avenue for my content. And I am, I guess, in some respects, a content creator. I don't call myself a content creator, but that's what I do. And so you don't want to see what I'm doing on Facebook, then unfriend me. How about that? This is what I do for a living. This is what I do. I do this every day. I'm talking to my Facebook audience right now because a lot of my personal friends and family are seeing this for the first time. They don't ever see me do this. I don't ever go to Facebook. And so this is what I do every day. I might not do the show every day, but I do some version of this. I pontificate, I opine, and I have a lot of things, and I'm very successful. I've had an amazing career, and I'm very proud of it. I'm sad I haven't been able to share that with a lot of my friends and family out there because they're so judgmental. And so I'm just kind of sold out to the progressive cult, I think. And it's really hard for them to be happy for you if you don't, you know, toe the line. The success isn't the way they want it. But I would invite you, I'm going to start doing this more. And so if you're still on my Facebook page for some reason, even though all of the stuff I say and do on there annoys you, I just want to invite you to listen. Don't go away. You can unfriend. I suggest you do that if what I'm saying bothers you that much. And by the way, no hard feelings. No hard feelings. It's social media. Why do we feel like we have to be connected on social media? It's better if we just keep our interactions to in person. And I think that's safer. I think that's better. We know too much about what each other thinks, but I would invite you to stay and watch because I'm going to break down the Bad Bunny thing and let's talk about it. There's a lot to say. There's a lot to talk about here. And I know that right now what we're doing is we're splitting along the lines of left and right like we always do for the Super Bowl. I watched the Super Bowl last night. Let me see. All right. I made a post about it and I do want to talk about it. I want to read some of the responses because sorry. Okay. I'll start with this. The Super Bowl is boring. It was kind of boring. I watched it like a good wife. I watched it with my husband. I felt obligated to sit there. I wanted to see the commercials like everybody. That's kind of part of it too, right? Seeing the commercials. And it was a slow game. It was a defensive game. Fair enough. That happens from time to time. And that doesn't make it any less exciting for the fans of that team. A win is a win. So congratulations to all the Seahawks fans. Frankly, I'm relieved. Can we officially say the Patriots era is over? I'm ready to move on. No shade to Patriots fans or the Patriots. I don't like football enough to care or to insult anybody, but I'm just saying I do like, variety and entertainment. And I would like to see some other people at the Super Bowl. So I'm glad for the end of the Patriots era. Congratulations to everybody. But I will say this. I was having a certain experience of the Super Bowl the whole time. And I was really curious for it to end and to ask my husband, who I consider a normie. Okay. Right. Like, he's not screaming about all the stuff I'm screaming about every day, satanic cults and chemtrails and like all conspiracy stuff. All he doesn't care about that stuff. He goes to work, earns a paycheck, comes home, supports the family. He is really the definition of a normie. And I wanted to know what he thought, because here's what I thought. The whole thing seemed, from beginning to end, seemed soulless. Empty and soulless from beginning to end. It seemed empty. And that is the feeling I am getting about all of the left's institutions and strategies right now. It's empty and soulless and inauthentic from the start. Even the commercials, especially the commercials. I thought it was interesting that a lot of the commercials, it's almost like we're on this mea culpa tour. Like Bud Light's like, here, America, we didn't forget about you. Here's the Clydesdales. Here's an American flag. Here's a family, and a lot of corporations were choosing to go in that direction, more sort of traditional pro-family images. And I loved that. I thought that was great. And it's great to know that they're paying attention to what the consumer wants. Most people. But the other thing that I saw a lot of was AI or CGI, but even the CGI was, in service of AI, selling AI. We got a lot of CGI'd and AI'd celebrity endorsements. I loved the Dunkin' Donuts commercial last year with Ben Affleck, and Tom Brady showed up and Matt Damon popped in, and there was all these little cameos. J-Lo was there. It was like funny. It was funny. And this year, there was all kinds of people in that commercial, people from Days Gone By, Ted Danson from Cheers, like old Ted Danson, young Ted Danson, not old Ted Danson. And it wasn't funny and it wasn't interesting and I wasn't excited to see it. I found it creepy. I wasn't tickled by it at all because I didn't feel like I was really watching these people interact. I didn't feel like I was watching them have fun. These people probably didn't even sit down in a studio for 1 second. They probably never even spoke the words. And there was a lot of AI retail going on, like a lot of selling AI. Again, I know this is the era we're in. AI is the next evolution of this economy. Understood. But they were selling it so hard, it felt fake because AI is fake, right? It's a fake version of you. It's fake help. It's not personal help. It's fake help. Next best thing. It's not a personal counselor. It's a fake counselor. Next best thing. It's not a personal assistant. It's a fake assistant. Next best thing. So the whole show, the whole commercial slate felt cold and distant too, because it was set up to sell me something fake. I was creeped out by the number of commercials for AI. I don't want to see celebrities in fake commercials. I want to see them together. Their personal interaction is what is interesting because you as the viewer imagine those actors as friends. Even if they hate each other, you imagine them as friends. You imagine them on set having a good time, enjoying each other, because you think their lives are special and exciting, and that's what they're selling you. But when you're just seeing AI representations of these people, there's nothing authentic about it. You know these people aren't even in the same room or speaking to each other. It bleeds something authentic from it. So already right from the top, the Super Bowl felt cold. It was in San Francisco, San Francisco is not a warm and welcoming place. Not anymore. San Francisco is scary. It's empty. It's empty. It is not the bustling cultural center that it used to be. I mean, go to X right now. I mean, I'm streaming live to X right now. If you're on there watching, search the San Francisco malls. So it's hollow. Then you have our hollow governor is there with his dead-eyed wife. Is there any more of a creature more worthy of your pity than Jennifer Siebel Newsom? Like, that's a woman just hanging on for dear life, just hanging on with her fingernails. She's done everything she thought she should do to get to the top of this game, right? She's gone to Hollywood. She tried to do it that way. Got used and abused there. We know, girl. We heard the stories, and we have mutuals, as I said before. So, couldn't do it there. Did it the political way. Got a husband. I mean, once a cheater, always a cheater. You know what I mean? You got him in bad circumstances. That was the kind of guy he was always going to be. But whatever, you took a shot. You thought maybe I'll be the one to change him. And she's had to suffer the indignities that all of the women who have attached themselves to Gavin Newsom have had to suffer. It's been embarrassingly public. Go to AB's timeline on X to see they were sleeping together. He would, he's got all kinds of stuff to say. AB, I think that's even his handle. AB, is it? No, anyways, just go find him. He's a friend to the Newsoms, and he's got plenty to say. Anyway, that woman's been humiliated, is what I'm saying. She's been utterly, utterly humiliated in the public eye. I would be utterly embarrassed if my husband did and said half of the things to me and about me that he has said. But she's been in it this long. Girl, if you put in your time, I get it, honey. I just want you to know, I get it. You have been in all these years. You have suffered all this humiliation, the slings and arrows of being the wife that is clearly just a trophy wife. He disrespects you so much. I feel so sorry for you, and I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. And so I know that you are just like, if I get to the White House, that'll make everything worth it. And you're hanging on for dear life. But honey, I don't think y'all are going to make it. And I think you come from a good family, and you probably can still salvage some kind of semblance of a career for yourself if you leave now. But she's hanging on for dear life. So her and Gavin are there. I'm sorry to get sidetracked, but Jennifer, I feel for you. I really do. It's an indignity. It's a great indignity the way this man represents your marriage in public. It's shocking. I'm sorry to keep talking about it, but just as a wife, it literally breaks my heart. It really does, because I would be so deeply, deeply, deeply embarrassed. It changes you as a woman to have to walk around with that kind of shame all day long. That's one thing. So I kind of understand who Jennifer is. And so she's cold, and Newsom's there. He's cold. They take this iconic shot now. They're in the luxury seats, and they both got their backs turned to the crowd to look at the camera, right? Now, a normal person would stand up and either highlight the crowd or make sure that this crowd's all in this shot, because that's the cool part, being in the crowd. But they're just like looking at the camera like, you're here to see me. So right here, right from the start, it was set up as cold. And we play the Black national anthem ahead of time. I really don't have any problem with people playing this. I didn't care about it when they first did it. I thought it was a missed opportunity, really, for conservatives and Christians to really take that anthem. It really does belong to us. It really is. It's a great song. It's a great anthem. To take it and make it ours. Just like with Juneteenth, it's really a Republican holiday. I just think Republicans, instead of going like, this is not fair, it's woke, go, oh, thanks for giving that to us. We'll take that too. We're going to talk about this. I don't think we should be setting up separate silos anymore. I think we should be overtaking the culture. I think we should be dominating. I think we should be taking back some of these things. Take back the Black national anthem. Make it America's again. So I felt like we always misread the Black national anthem thing anyways. We should have been just claiming it, driving the left crazy and claiming it for our own. And it's not too late to do that, but they did it. They played it before the regular national anthem. Bad Bunny himself didn't stand up for the national anthem. I don't want to hear any more arguments from the left telling me, well, he's an American. He's an American. Stop that. Stop with that. Because we all know he doesn't consider himself an American, right? Most Puerto Ricans don't. Puerto Ricans that move to the States, which is what they call this country, right? They call us the States. They don't say, I'm going to New York or Miami like you do when you travel. Or even you say, I'm going to Puerto Rico, right? You don't say, I'm going to San Jose. They say, I'm going to Puerto Rico. These are two different places. Puerto Rico is a territory. It's not a state. Puerto Ricans are citizens of the American territories, but they're not Americans in the respect that the rest of us are. It's the same way with, people who live in Guam. We could probably use a history lesson on the difference between a state and a territory and what the purpose of territories are. Why do we have those? You might be interested to know that Puerto Rico has never really belonged to itself at all. It's always belonged to a different nation. These are a people that have always belonged in other nations. They've always been conquered by someone else. They're not conquerors. They never have been. I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm just, historically speaking, even their own history is jumbled. You can ask a Puerto Rican who settled Puerto Rico, and you're going to get a few different answers. So it's not an American state the way that we think of the states. And Bad Bunny does not think of himself as American. Now, no one should be sitting at the Super Bowl during the anthem. Here is why the Bad Bunny halftime show was so egregious and why it's not just another halftime show. And we need to stop normalizing this type of thing. The Super Bowl is an American tradition. It is uniquely, stereotypically, and forcefully, I can't think of the word I'm wanting. It is absolutely American, without a doubt. It is the American halftime show. We don't put on the show for the FIFA crowd. We don't even put on the show for the basketball crowd. That halftime show is something different. Baseball gets a 7th inning stretch. You get the anthem or a patriotic song at the 7th inning, and then you sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. That's what you do in baseball games, right? In the Super Bowl, you have a halftime show, and it's a rock show. It is a concert on the stage that by an American performer or American performers or performers that are well known in America. Because why? Why? America makes stars. America makes superstars. You don't count to us as an international superstar unless we know who you are. And so that is part of the privilege of getting on the halftime show. If you aren't from this country and you are popular enough to be invited to the halftime show, that's because Americans have approved of you. That is the dominance of our culture. So when you have a Bad Bunny come in and say, actually, no, American culture, and don't get it twisted. The weak thinkers out there are telling you he had a wedding and he had the American flag out. Those are weak thinkers. You can feel free to dismiss them. Okay. They're not critical thinkers. They don't know what they saw. All right. You and I know what we saw because we're not weak thinkers. We're actually pattern recognizers. We know what we saw. So what we saw was, a show that was designed to water down the dominance of American culture. So when you say, hey, Puerto Ricans are American, and this is American culture, and he was waving the flag, and he had a couple that got married on stage, and isn't that a traditional American value? What are you complaining about? No, that was not. Let's just start from the top. One, it was not a show made for American audiences. I don't care what you tell me. Maybe I should just read through some of these complaints and respond that way. Somebody came to me and said, you know what? There's 40 million Latinos, 40 million Spanish speakers in America. And there's 40 million Spanish speakers in America. And shouldn't they get a halftime show too? There was a word of English in there. I mean, I think Lady Gaga she showed up and sang a few words of English, and I think he said something in English at the end, but it was largely done in Spanish. 40 million Spanish speakers in America. Okay. Well, that still leaves us with 280 million English speakers. Why are we catering to this 40 million? Also, the official language of the United States is English. So it doesn't really matter if you say, well, America's a melting pot. Fine. But the pot melts into English. See, the Super Bowl is supposed to be a shared cultural experience. That's what's made it such a powerful thing over the years. That is what has made this the entertainment epicenter of the year, and why companies spend millions and billions of dollars to advertise with the Super Bowl. It is because it is the seminal cultural event of the year. And why is that? Because it's catering to fractured groups of people? No, because the Super Bowl halftime show provides a common American experience that is so common the entire country tunes in. What happens when you start fracturing that audience? Spitting at the camera, sorry. How do you do this, not spit when you talk? I think part of this is I have this list I'm always struggling with. I like the F list. I feel like that pushes stuff out more. I'll take your tips on how not to spit so much when I talk. I'm also just very passionate, and I'm a theater artist, so you are trained to talk to the back of the room. Terrible, though. Terrible when you're up close. So that's the purpose of the Super Bowl show. And I want you to think about this. All these people who are calling you an idiot for complaining about the Super Bowl show, whatever, you're not an idiot. You're not the idiot. They're trying to pretend like you're not a part of this equation as the viewer. There is no Super Bowl without you. There is no NFL without you. There's no halftime show without you. You're the whole reason for the halftime show. And the whole reason for the halftime show is because a whole bunch of you sit down at one time to watch the same thing, and there is no other opportunity to get that many eyes on a product at one time. And why is that? Because the halftime show provides a unifying cultural experience. So when the halftime show stops providing a unified cultural experience, then it stops providing that for the advertisers as well. We are all in this relationship. It is not just about the performer or the players or the advertisers or the people who put on the halftime show. You, the viewer, you, the consumer, are absolutely a vital part of this relationship. The relationship does not exist without you. Who the hell do they sell the tickets to then? Who the hell do they sell AI to, or chips or gold or whatever they're advertising during the Super Bowl? Who the hell are they selling it to if it's not you? So don't let anyone tell you that you're an idiot because you didn't like the halftime show yesterday. If you didn't like the halftime show, it's because it sucked. You're the only reason they make it. If you don't like it, go be heard. Go tell everybody. If you don't like it, go tell everyone. You're the only reason it's made. Are you getting a Dunkin' Donuts commercial if no one's watching the Super Bowl? And I'm sick of the contrarian conservatives out there today, too. You guys can go F yourselves, too. Sick of y'all. Sick of y'all. You're not helpful. You're not mission-minded. And you don't know what time it is. Go screw yourselves, pansies. I can't stand it. I don't want any more weak men out there. There's a lot of conservative contrarians out there today. I've seen even Meghan McCain. I saw her out there. If you thought that was a bad show, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. And I'll tell you what, I watched the Kendrick Lamar show last year, and the conservatives got upset over that, and I defended it, and I said, look, yeah, you know what? He was being a little bit cheeky. But there are some other great things, and guess what? We were all talking about it. Even the people were like, I didn't understand one thing that he said. We were all talking about it. We were all doing the Kendrick shuffle. We were all doing it, right? We talked about it for months, and he brought back bell-bottom jeans. When you compare that performance to Bad Bunny, it's not even close. Even the Kendrick performance, although it was meant to criticize America in a lot of ways, was still very uniquely American. We did not get that with Bad Bunny. It was a slap in the face. And all that marching through the fields. By the way, not even caring about the audience. What was the audience seeing? What were they seeing from their they $1,000 for the nosebleed seats? They weren't seeing a performance. They didn't get a stage performance. They had to watch a music video being shot. Another offense. But again, it was marching. It was a flag planting. That's what I told my husband. I said, this is a flag planting. This is not a celebration of culture. All that twerking, we've seen twerking at the Super Bowl. We've seen boobs at the Super Bowl. That's not the point. At this point, although, yes, we don't like the vulgar stuff. At this point, that's not what it is. That's not what it's about. It's about what it's saying to us. The message, all that twerking those girls shaking their asses in our faces, that's what they were doing. They were shaking their asses in the faces of Americans going, we're here now. It's not your country. This is what the country looks like now. And to prove it, we're going to march out. Here's your American flag. We're going to march out all these other flags behind it. We're America. You no longer own this culture. This is the seminal cultural event of the American season, of the American economic season. It's this. And you don't own it now. We put our flag all over it. If you don't see that's what this is, you're of no use to us. Get the fuck out. You're useless. And there's a lot of conservatives out there because there's still a group of conservatives who really do. I will say most of them are based in the swamp. You'll notice the accounts if you go to X, the people who are talking like this, just click on it and see where they live. Most of them are in the swamp. The swamp infects you no matter what. It's really hard. You should be happy when your people come back from the swamp. Like, we sent a bunch of California people out to DC to get into the DOJ, Michael Gates, Harmeet Dillon. Michael Gates came back after 10 months. He's running for AG here in California now. A lot of people are like, why would you do that after 10 months? But you know what? You should be glad that people leave the swamp, because you know what they're saying? I did my time and I'm out of there. I did what I could for as long as I could, but I don't want to become a part of it. That should make you feel grateful for those people. You shouldn't be suspicious. So yeah, that was a declaration the way I saw it. And it all felt impersonal, and it all felt like it wasn't the Super Bowl shows should invite you in. And any Super Bowl show that specifically aims at alienating a certain part even not everyone's going to like everything. Sometimes it's country and not everyone likes country. Sometimes, remember Britney Spears and NSYNC did one? Sometimes people don't like pop. Sometimes it's whatever. You don't like that. You don't like Shakira and J-Lo. I get that. But at the same time, everyone should be able to look at that stage and understand that that person is there for you. That person's sole goal is to entertain you, the American consumer, because that's what the Super Bowl is. Did you feel that way when Bad Bunny was rapping? And then don't even get me started on the lyrics. You don't know what they said because it was in Spanish. That's a problem. I as an American citizen should not turn on my television to the seminal social event of the season on TV and not hear a word of English. This is a culture war. This is a culture war. We can no longer pretend that we can just leave this to the left. We'll go do, by the way, shout out to TPUSA and their incredible halftime show. I heard total 25 million viewers, possibly. You never can tell with the internet. It's probably more, but at least 5 million at its peak on YouTube, which is a staggering amount for a YouTube broadcast, a staggering amount. If they continue to do this, I think they will only get better. They really threw this together at the last minute. Honestly, they did. That's no easy feat. I'm sure it was not without its hiccups. I'm sure all kinds of gossip and stuff is out there flying around today. Kudos to them, but we cannot leave it. And frankly, I think it would be dangerous to leave it to the TPUSAs of the world to erect these conservative silos that we all move to then. It's not good enough. And all it's going to do is end up being a liberal, conservative version of what the libs are giving us. We can't do that. We have to go reclaim the institutions that were ours to begin with. Higher education is a Christian concept. In America, it's a Christian concept. That's why all of your best schools are divinity schools. Started as Harvard, Yale started as divinity schools. Hospitals. The medical industry is a Christian concept in America. It's a Christian concept. I don't know. I don't think I can speak for Hollywood, but certainly the arts and entertainment, poetry, music, those are all rooted in Judeo. We can trace that back to King David, who was a poet and a musician. Judeo-Christian values. All of these things reflect this particular culture. That's not to say other cultures don't have it. I'm saying these are the hallmarks of our culture. They are what make us unique. They are what make us American. And so if you then take a unifying American event and you don't include any of that in there, all of Americans can't share in this. I don't care if 40 million Americans speak Spanish. Most of us don't. And the official language of America is English. And when we are having a uniting cultural event, that's what we should be focusing on, the things that unite us. And America unites us. Being American unites us. There's an argument to be made. People have made it that the NFL needs to expound their boundaries. It's capitalism, right? Latin America is a huge, huge retail market. A lot of corporations know this. We see them expanding into it. It happened with China. We expanded our movies into it. But I would like to admonish you to look at what has happened to entertainment as we have sold it to China. China is a huge market. And as we have said, we need to cater to the Chinese, that's billions and billions more entertainment dollars every month, every year that we can get. We need to cater to the Chinese. The more we have said that, what's happened to the quality of what we've gotten out of Hollywood? It's abysmal. It's nothing. I think about, I'm 51. My son is 23. When I was my son's age, I could go to the movies every single day. And in fact, I did. I was single, and because I loved the movies and I grew up in rural Canada where I didn't have access to movie theaters. So to go to a movie theater was a really special event. I lived with my dad in Washington, D.C. for a year when I was 13. I went to Stuart Hobson Middle School right there on the hill. It's right behind the Capitol building, or right behind Union Station. I went there for a year and they had the Metro there too, man. I came from a Metro card for $1.25. I could scoot all over the city and go to every movie theater. I saw everything. And there was always something to see. Always. And now, when's the last time you've been to the theater? Maybe a lot of y'all went to see Melania, and that was the first time I'd sat in a theater in a hot second. And I still love going to the movies. There's nothing to see. That we have sold off our creativity to China. When we found out that China was a market, great, we can all make more money, but the Chinese don't like the things we like. And they don't have the same cultural depth that we do because they genocided their own culture during the Red Revolution. So they don't have the cultural depth to welcome deep and meaningful entertainment. So our entertainment became what they like. And it sucks. It's devoid of depth. It's devoid of meaning. It's devoid of heroes. It's devoid of controversy. It's just devoid of everything. It's slop. So for those of you who want to say, well, hey, NFL is just trying to get new customers, try to cater to the Latino market. It's a big market. I want you to remember what happened when they tried to cater to the Chinese market. So how the quality of that went down. Now, it might not be that way in the Latin market, but here is my argument anyway. It doesn't matter what market you're appealing to. What the hell are you selling? You're selling America. You're not selling Latin America to Latin America. They live in Latin America. They like soccer. Go make a soccer team, right? Go buy a soccer team if you want to make money from Latin Americans. They like that stuff. If you want to go get those audiences, fine, go get them. But go sell them the product that's making you money, which is America. It's the Super Bowl that you're selling. It's America that you're selling. The Super Bowl is uniquely and historically American. And that's why people come to it. And that's why people turn on their TVs. And that's why people from other countries are so fascinated by what we do at the Super Bowl, because it's so freaking American. So no, you don't go and sell this product to Latin America countries by becoming a Latin American sport or by becoming Latin American coded. You don't do that. You sell them the product that they don't get to have where they live, which is America. That's the product that people buy. That's what people want. That's what's made us the greatest country on earth and the biggest cultural influence on the planet in history. Because people want to be us. So sell us. Don't sell them. Sell us. What you saw at the Super Bowl was the NFL and Bad Bunny and all of Hollywood and every contrarian, pathetic, no nuts conservative out there. It's every one of you who said that this is just another Super Bowl, that this is a celebration of culture. You have no idea what you've just seen. You've seen a replacement of our culture and you're clapping. You're all saying the same things. Oh, well, this is how America is. No, this is not how America is. Does anyone realize how numb we've gotten? Like, even those of us on the right, we're numb. You know what? As I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm looking out my window and I'm watching planes leave these trails all over the skies. We're cloud seeding here in California. It's very annoying. We haven't been allowed. Yesterday, they gave us a sunny day for the Super Bowl, which I found interesting, but we haven't been allowed to really have a sunny day. And it's not contrails. I know what those are, but we have actually, you can go and look this up. We have cloud seeding programs here in California. We had one I wrote out on my Substack, Just Kira Davis. I wrote the report. We actually caught one of them. We didn't. Someone did. It was a line item in the budget in Sacramento 2 years ago. $300,000 for a cloud seeding program, but no one had consented to it. So the legislature had to take it out at the last second, and they issued an apology, and they were like, we didn't know this was in here. So these things are happening. Okay. And I'm looking up there now. I was telling my husband, do you notice how much this is happening? Like, normally it's warm and sunny in February, unless we're in a rainy season, and this isn't a rainy season, but we have all this. And he said, yeah, those are just clouds. And I'm like, no, they're not clouds. We think they're clouds because this is what we see every day. It's a mist. It's not clouds. We don't have cumulonimbus clouds anymore. And I started asking people around me, and they were like, no, those are clouds. We're so used to seeing it that we think it's what normal clouds look like now. And it's not. When next time you're flying, look down and you'll see what normal clouds look like. It's weird. We're just getting so numb to this stuff. Let me talk about Epstein for a second and what is going on. And I do believe all of this is connected. All of this is happening at once. I need everyone to understand that we are in a battle for our culture. And if we don't win it, we'll lose everything. And we have no more time. We've been lulled into this sense of numbness for the last 40 to 50 years. We've been told it's just the sweat. Well, this is how it is. You welcome people in and society is getting larger and technology and yada, yada, yada. This is just how things develop. And we have allowed ourselves to believe that this is just how things are. Ladies and gentlemen, I am no longer willing to accept that. I am no longer willing to accept. Think if you are still a postmodernist at this time, if you're a nihilist, if you think there's just nothing out there besides the flesh and the blood, and I think you're in the minority. We are quickly coming to a time when we are going to be reflecting what our ancient ancestors knew to be true. That the world is not physical, the world is spiritual. The physical part's the part that's not real. The spiritual part is the part that's real. And so it's not a matter of, is there a spiritual aspect to life? It's a matter of which part of the spiritual realm will you ally yourself with? That's what it's going to be. You're no longer going to be able to be atheism is dying. It's just, we're going to be asked to be making choices. And one of the things that people need to understand that whether the enemy, and I'm using this term liberally and nebulously, you take it to mean what you want. If you don't believe in God like I do, you can take it to mean your political enemies. You can take it to mean your energy enemies. You can take it to mean your religious enemies. I mean the enemies of God when I say this. How do I say this? I don't know how to say things without sounding like a crazy person anymore, so I'll give that up. God has a contract. The word of God, this is my dad's Bible, by the way. This is my atheist dad's Bible. He was an atheist. I don't think he died an atheist because this is what he was doing before he died. Found it at his house. But my dad was a thinker. That's what makes me think he accepted Christ before he died, because he was a thinker and he was wickedly smart. Anyways, the word tells us that God has a contract with his people. I will give you all this land, go forth and multiply, go and subdue the earth. This earth is yours. You are to have dominion here. You are rulers, kings and queens. That's his contract with us. I protect you. Everything you have is because of me. The air you breathe, you can't breathe without me. You can't be alive without me. You don't have blood without me. If you are a part of my family, you have life. There's no life outside of me, but if you're inside of me, there's eternal life. That is the message of the word. The enemy cannot break the contract. The enemy cannot form a new contract with you. The whole idea of you selling your soul to the devil can't be done. That's a lie too. The devil's a liar. And the word says it. That's a lie too. You can't sell your soul to the devil, but you can invite the devil into your soul. You can invite the devil into your heart, and that can cause all kinds of problems that would mimic what it would be to be a slave to someone. You can make yourself a slave, but you can't sell your soul. It's not yours to sell. You didn't make it. And you can't give it away. And that's what the devil knows. And so the enemy says, okay, they have this contract with God. I can't break the contract. There's no new rules. I can't make myself the ruler of this earth. I can't make myself have dominion of this earth. It's for humans. So what can the enemy do? The enemy gets you to invite him in. That's the loophole in the contract. So if humans work with the enemy, the loophole in the contract is then the enemy has claim to our birthright, dominion, cultural dominion, religious dominion, dominion of the earth. Go forth and multiply. That is the only way. So, okay, all that being said, Epstein. Everyone's been talking about the Epstein files. At first I was like, yeah, let's release them. Then I was like, I think there's something more here than just there's too much here. Okay, but what's happened? Have you been paying attention? By the way, pro tip, if you want to know, you don't want to read through those files, this is where the influencer crowd is like, God makes all things into good, right? He turns everything into good for his use, right? I know we get annoyed by the influencer crowd, but they're doing the Lord's work right now with the Epstein files. So go find some influencers on Instagram or TikTok, and you can just type in a hashtag and all that'll come up. And they're really working hard to break down what they're finding. They're piecing it out. Highly recommend. That's a great place to get easy information. And it's all true. It's all documented. It's all there. Okay, these files have been released. Now, we know a lot of what's in these files. And we know one thing that's in there for sure. They're eating freaking babies. There are elites that you buy things from right now and you learn things from right now who are in those emails talking about what babies taste like and talking about satanic ritual abuse, talking about buying children. Where are the children that came over the border? Where are they? Where did they go? Where did they go? I'm a mom and I can't imagine thinking of my child being scared and alone and stuck in some kind of weird temple, being poked and tortured and abused and raped. Somebody's child is going through that right now, and we're acting like it's not happening. We're acting like we didn't just read all this, but this is what the enemy does. And I think that's why Trump didn't want to release those files. I think that's why. He knows what we know, what I know. Even if he doesn't know it spiritually, I have no idea where he is on that journey, and I have no idea what supernatural things he's been privy to. But I think he knows what we know, which is that the enemy needs permission to act so brazenly. It needs our permission because Earth is ours. The culture is ours. The planet is ours. It needs our permission to act so brazenly. And how do they get permission? They put their dastardly evil deeds right out in front of us, and they dare us to say something. And when we don't, that's permission. We have just found out that the elites, there's a global satanic cabal that is enslaving and eating children. And this is not the top story of every news broadcast in America, in the world right now. Essentially, we have accepted this invitation. We have accepted this invitation, and now it's out there. You have no idea what the release of these files has released into society. It isn't just words, and it isn't just accusations. There's a whole demonic spiritual host that has come with these files, and they've knocked at the door like a vampire. I use the vampire analogy a lot because I think there's a reason why. It's not mythology. I believe all this is true, but there's a reason why there's a reason why the vampire in every movie. Have you seen Sinners? Go watch Sinners before the Oscars. Excellent movie, maybe one of the best movies I've seen in a decade. Great movie. It's a vampire movie. But a vampire's got to knock at the door, right? We all know this. We know this from Gen Xers. You remember Lost Boys? The vampire has to be invited in. Where does that concept from? You think that's an accident? Somebody just made that up? No. The enemy must be invited in because he has no dominion. But if you invite him, you're sharing your dominion with him. And us allowing them, when they do their devil crap on the stage at the Grammys or whatever, or when they do that, they do their like occultish symbols in their photographs, that's them broadcasting to you whose side they're on. And if you don't say anything, you're accepting the invitation. It's no accident that one of the main hallmarks of the left is to shame, blame, and silence. If you don't say anything, that's permission. Well, and by the way, don't judge people about their sexuality, and don't judge people about their values, and don't judge people about what they believe is right about marriage, or what they believe. Don't judge people. We're under the guise of don't judge anyone. We've taught everyone to be silent, and in our silence, we have permitted the enemy to come and take root in our homes, in our schools, in our entertainment culture. And now here, and y'all wonder, how'd we get here? How'd we get here? We've been inviting the vampires to dinner. They're eating babies. They're eating babies. Somebody go find the Pizzagate guy and give him an apology. And I did an episode on my old podcast, Just Listen to Yourself. You can go find that. It's on the FCB radio network. This is how much I want you to listen to it. I don't get a dime. I don't get one damn red cent from those people if you go listen to the podcast. Go listen anyway. As I talk about this, if we don't say anything, it's tacit permission. And I talked about Pizzagate at the time. I'm sorry, I was just thinking. I'm trying to think not out loud while I talk out loud, and that's getting harder to do the older I get. I used to be able to do it quite well when I was younger. Anyway, at the time I did an episode of that show on the Pizzagate thing, and I said, look, and remember the Wayfair thing came up, and they were selling couches for ridiculous prices. And I said, look, I know there's a lot of people who are scoffing at this, but why do we just automatically turn our noses up at it? Again, this is another, when they stripped critical thinking out of the school system, they're teaching you how to invite the enemy in. They're teaching you how to not think about it. So you invite the enemy in. Because I said, okay, I know your first instinct is to be like, this is so stupid. It's so ridiculous. Oh, you conservatives, because of course every theory like this then gets blamed on conservatives instead of just being another way to silence you, right? It's another way to silence you. If you think it's from the part of the country you don't like, you're not going to listen. And you obey that all the time. You turn off anything you don't like to hear. I think I'm streaming to Facebook right now. I think a lot of people, once they heard where I was going, probably just stopped. They don't want to hear the rest. You participate in that. But I said, look, We do know that there are human trafficking rings. This we know, right? We know there's such a thing as sex slaves. We know there's such a thing as child abuse. If the satanic part is too much for you, leave that out. But we do know these things, right? Because we watch, who's the guy that does the To Catch a Predator, right? We know that there are networks of child predators. They get their porn from somewhere. They get their tip somewhere to get kids from somewhere. There's a network of people. They sell kids to each other. They sell porn to each other. Fine. That part is just practical, logical knowledge. We know this. Okay. Well, then how do those people find out where to get the porn or where? Because you can't advertise for it in the yellow pages, or the kids probably don't even know what the yellow pages are. So you can't advertise for it on the interwebs. You have to have code. And maybe the code, at the time I said, look, maybe the code's not pizza. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something else. But it's got to be something, right? So why isn't it pizza? But again, I'm 51 now. So I became aware of the Clintons when I was 18. And I can't tell you how many communications I've seen from them that they talk about pizza in strange ways, and it never occurred to me at all to think that it could be anything but pizza. What I'm saying is we have been giving these people tacit permission to steal and rape our children for far too long. And now we've released the Epstein files and no one's saying anything. No, you should be weeping and screaming every day. They are eating babies. It's right there in the files. It's right there. You people on the left screamed and screeched for years to get this stuff released. And now you don't give a shit. What's in there? Shame on you. Go fuck yourselves. I mean that. I know I don't usually talk like this on this podcast, but I cannot stress to you the enormity of the evil that we have just seen. You've been screeching and screaming for the release of you don't even see how blinded you are. You don't even see that veil that is in front of your eyes. It's not about Epstein. You don't give a shit about him. And you sure as hell don't give a shit about those missing kids. You don't know where. Do you even know that that Biden lost 230,000 children? Where do you think they go? You think our foster care system here in America is just so swimming that they just get absorbed into the foster care, into our exemplary foster care system, the envy of the world? Where do you think they go? Like, this is what I'm saying, people. We've all been trained to not think about these things. We've all been trained to go, that's ridiculous, and stop right there. Don't believe me? Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. That's what I did. The next time your automatic response to something you see or hear is, that's ridiculous. Ask yourself why you just said that. And maybe the answer is because it's ridiculous. It could just be really ridiculous. But I will tell you what, many years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, probably longer, a friend of ours challenged us to run a half marathon, the Chicago half marathon. It's a great half marathon. You get to run along Lakeshore Drive. They closed down Lakeshore. And we laughed. Hannah. Thanks, Hannah. Hannah said, I'm going to run it. You guys want to go? You guys want to do it? And my husband and I laughed. I think we called it a white people thing to do. I think that's what we said. I think we said, oh, that's such a white girl thing to do. Go run the half marathon. And as soon as that laugh came out of my mouth, I thought to myself, why did I say that? Why was that the first response? Is there something disgusting about running a marathon? Do I feel like I can't do it? Do I feel like I'm not allowed to do it? And I realized that my scoffing at her suggestion was actually me saying I can't do it. And so I did it. I went and did it. It was horrible. I was one of the last people across the line. It rained. It was pouring rain that day. My iPod got shorted out. I didn't even have music. Some of the old ladies were beating me. That's how slow I was going. But damn it, I finished. But that was the first time I ever thought, I still think about that moment all the time. It's the first time I ever thought, why did I just reject that out of hand? Why did I just say that? No. So the next time you say, well, that's ridiculous, ask yourself, why? Why does it seem ridiculous? Why does it seem ridiculous that they would put children on a menu for sickos to order? Why does it seem ridiculous to ask, where have 200,000 children gone? Because I think Tom Homan has said they've rescued about 30,000 so far. And to my liberal friends, if you're still watching this, I would challenge you to find clips of Tom Homan talking about the children. You don't have to listen to him talk about the rest if that offends your sensibilities. Find some clips of him talking about the children, and you'll hear him, this grown man whom you think is a horrible person. You think he's very horrible and cruel. So go listen to him talk about the children and watch his face and listen to him say, I cannot tell you some of the things that have been done to these children, worse than rape. So you let your mind wander. You should let your mind wander. Where are they? And what is happening to them? We need to be thinking about this. We need to be thinking about it all, including Bad Bunny's show. That is supposed to be a unifying American experience, an experience we all sit down for so that we have the same experience. And look at what the left is doing. They have been dividing us for years, and we've been saying it forever, right? Well, they want to divide us up into their racial groups, but it's more insidious than that. That was just step one. The goal is to divide us from the American experience because it is the general American experience that gives us our power. We are powerful as a nation, as a unit that gathers together under one flag, not a bunch of different flags that call themselves the Americas. You're a damn idiot. Conservatives out there that are like, he had the American flag. Can we just not call you conservatives anymore? Get out of here. We have one flag. There isn't an Americas for us. There is an America. And if the other countries want to say they're American too, we're just North Americans, let them say whatever they want. We don't care. We're better than them and we can do what we want. That's what makes us American. So say whatever you want about North Americans, South Americans. We're all Americans. That's not how real Americans think of it. And so it doesn't matter how you think of it. But that's the allure of America, right? That we don't care what everyone else thinks, and we're so distinct that everyone wants to be us. What happens when we're just like everybody else, which is what the NFL is trying to do. So Christians, conservatives, Republicans, it is our duty, it is our God sworn duty to dominate this culture. We cannot set up our separate little silos. All right. You got to do what you got to do out of necessity, right? Like, when they were kicking us off the internet, we had no other choice but then to go make our own, and then they punished Parler and we had no other choice but to set up our own entertainment. That kind of stuff. Like sometimes you got to do what you got to do for survival. But guess what, everybody? We won a huge battle in 2024 and the culture shifted. Too many of y'all aren't acting like it yet, though. You're acting like they're in the majority and they're not. I am here to tell you we're in the majority and we better get our acts together because this Epstein stuff has dumped a whole lot of darkness on us that we're not spiritually prepared for because we have not been prepared for it. We've been purposefully kept in the dark about the connection between what's in the physical and what's in the spiritual. And we're not prepared for what's been unleashed. Christians, this is your time. This is our time. This is right where we've been equipped for. Get the word, get that sword out, pray every day, armor up, pray for this nation, pray for our president, pray for the good Christian men and women and the good men and women that God has appointed, even if they aren't Christians, that God has appointed to lead. Pray for them, pray for their safety, pray for the defeat of our enemies, and stand strong and say something. Where you see it, say it. You have to, because if you don't say anything, you're giving the enemy permission to keep doing what he's doing. You have to say something, even if you think it sounds stupid, even if it makes you sound like you're not cool. You're just some boomer. You didn't get the halftime show. You're not cool enough like Meghan McCain to understand how cool it was. You just don't know because you're not cool. Say something anyway. It's not the Meghan McCains of the world that you need to like you. It's Jesus Christ. It's the Lord of the universe. And this is a battle that's larger than the Super Bowl. And it wasn't just the Super Bowl. And if you think that was just a Super Bowl halftime show, you weren't paying attention. I think you're useless to the movement. And as I said before, you can get the F out. We really don't need you. We really don't need you. All right, I'm going to go now. My apologies for cussing. I'm going to have to maybe bleep that for audio podcasts. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just put the explicit warning on it because I don't really care. I don't really care what it does to my advertising dollars. I don't really care. It's just very serious times. I don't know. The more I go on, maybe I don't know what's going on. I just feel it. It's just, we're just now getting on this ride, everybody. And I do think for what it's worth, I think ultimately what's coming is good. I do. If we stay the course and if the warriors pick up their tools, their shields and their weapons and get to the battle line Draw your lines. I wrote this book in 2022. I should just do a public reading of it. It's never been more relevant. It's never been more relevant. Did it land with a splash in 2022? Nope. No one even noticed except for my friend Dan Bongino, who endorsed it, and my good friends. No one really noticed. But if I have learned anything at 51 years of age, it's if you wait long enough, you'll be proven right. If you wait long enough and you're not a lunatic, I'm not a lunatic, you'll be proven right. That book right there, drawing lines. Get armored up and get to the battle lines and stop being wimps and stop listening to wimps. I'm tired of ballless, soulless conservatives who still think that they're going to be liked by the other side and don't have even a grasp of the spiritual aspect of who we are, not just as people ourselves, but as a nation and what we mean to the growth of God's kingdom. If you are talking to someone who says they're a Christian and they don't think that Christianity is meant to dominate planet Earth and Christian dominion is meant for this planet, you're talking to a conservative, and a conservative calls themselves a Christian. Obviously, a lot of Jews don't think that, but they will someday. Like, they'll be with us on this. All of these two things will blend into one eventually. We will get there. But if you're talking to a person who doesn't think that Christians should be dominating the culture, they are not on our side. We absolutely should be. Let's take back the public schools. Let's put prayer back in schools, and let's put the 10 commandments back in school. And I don't care what you say, what you think the First Amendment has to say about that. I don't care. We did it your way and it sucks. And we've just about lost this country, and we've lost an entire generation of children to a surgeon's knife because of you, because of your weak-willed, lily-livered, yellow-bellied Christian conservatism that thinks we're supposed to all play hands and sing kumbaya, instead of thinking, I will cut off the hand of someone who tries to harm an innocent child and tries to thwart God's kingdom. No, I won't hold it. I'll slice it off. That's an option too. Where are the warriors? It's time to go to war, people. It's time to go to battle. That's my message for 2026. Frankly, I don't work for anyone now. And I used to hate that because, it's a lot easier to work for somebody than yourself. But now I'm glad because I can say whatever I want and I don't care how crazy I sound. Everyone thought I sounded crazy when I talked about Candace. I tried to tell you all about Candace in 2019. You thought I was crazy then. Go tell all your friends. Kira was right about everything. Kira Davis on X. Just Kira Davis, JOST, Kira Davis on Instagram, just Kira Davis at Substack. Go find the Orange Report, Orange County, California related news and opinion available on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Substack, all of the places. Please hit the like button, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Facebook. God, I can't even wait to go see what Facebook looked like. I have no idea. It's the first time I hit that streaming button to Facebook. I have no idea who's seeing it. I have no idea what they're doing over there. Like I said, I don't have any mods. I got nobody else. I'm just me and a laptop camera. And that's why you have no excuse for not saying anything either. Because I only have this, and somehow I manage to be heard by millions of people every week. And so you don't have an excuse. You don't have an excuse either. Do not invite the enemy into your home by being complicit in silence.